Quick update on the University of Kentucky student accused of hiding her newborn in the closet. Here's what happened in court. Laken Snelling, 21, was released on a $100,000 bond. Now, I think that's kind of crazy, but whatever. So she's been ordered to live with her parents under house arrest, but she does not have to wear an ankle monitor. I think that's interesting. Her next court date is set for September 26th. Meanwhile, alleged maternity photos of Snelling is going viral on social media. The pictures are showing her in a white dress with a man believed to be her boyfriend, but allegedly that wasn't the baby's father. They've sparked even more scrutiny online and added fuel to the case that's adding a heartbreaking and controversial opinion on this. Honestly, again, I'll say that this is a very sad case because she had the whole world at her fingertips, and why would she do that to her own baby? It's beyond me. She's still facing the same charges: abuse of a corpse and tampering with physical evidence and concealing the birth of an infant. And remember, the cause of death is still pending with the Fayette County Coroner's Office. So we gotta see. This is only the beginning. I'll keep you guys posted and updated as this unfolds before her September court date. Drop your thoughts down below, but keep it respectful. This case is definitely very devastating, and I'm sure her family and everyone is really sad. Oh, the update on the Laken Snelling case just came in. You know, the University of Kentucky student that was accused of hiding her newborn in the closet. And this could change how this all turns out in court. I mean, this can play out where true justice may never be served. The Fayette County coroners released a preliminary finding, and now they're saying that the baby's manner of death is listed currently as undetermined. That means that they didn't find anything in this initial exam, and they couldn't say if it was homicide, an accident, or even a stillbirth. They sent samples for a microscopic analysis, and those results are still pending. Here's why this is so serious. If that microscopic test comes back and it also says undetermined, then there may never actually be a clear medical explanation for what actually happened to the baby and how the baby died. And in the courtroom, no cause of death means prosecutors may never be able to prove the most serious charges. Without a piece of evidence, that entire case becomes way too hard to argue. So this is what it means for the charges. So right now, she's only charged with abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and concealing a birth of an infant. But if the autopsy doesn't prove that the baby was born alive and then killed, those harsher charges tied to murder or manslaughter may never come. And that means she could end up serving time on lesser charges or may potentially walk away with less accountability than what people are expecting. And that's the hard part about cases like this. The court isn't based on emotions or what people think happened. It's based on what can be proven. And right now, science hasn't given prosecutors the confirmation they need. If nothing changes, she could get away with it. So the next step is those microscopic tests from the coroners. And it's absolutely crucial because unless those results show something definitively, this case could end up with more questions than answers. September 26th is her next court date, and all eyes are going to be on that, whether or not the evidence comes out. We'll really just have to wait and see. I don't know, like the whole thing is sketchy, and I feel in my heart like she did it intentionally, or could have, or I don't know if it's mental health or like what. I'm not giving her any passes because even if it is mental health, there was still safe havens around. But I don't know. It seems wrong, especially to not be able to get infinitive whether or not the baby was unalived or what have you. It just makes me really sad. It's a crazy situation. Drop your thoughts down below, but please keep it respectful because I know cases like this are heightened emotionally, especially for moms. So let's just keep it respectful in the comments. I have a very controversial opinion, and I know I'm going to get some hate for this, but I'm going to be 100 with you guys, as always. I know a lot of people are saying no one should judge Laken. And look, I am very pro-choice. I feel like I'm not God. God gives us free will, and you do what you do because you have free will. Whether I agree with it or not, I feel like you have free will. However, at the end of the day, people are like, oh, you should have empathy and you should have sympathy. Yes, but if you know you live in a state where you don't have reproductive rights and you still choose to move forward doing what you're doing, right? You know what the risks are, especially at 21, right? And you know you don't have any options. Everybody's out here keeping their legs closed because women know there's no options out there, right or wrong. I feel as though that baby did not ask to come here. You brought that child here, and it is your responsibility to do right by them, whether it's to give a baby up, whether it's to, whatever your decision is. But we can't say have sympathy and empathy for her, but yet not for the baby that didn't ask to come here. I'm just saying, again, I am very pro-choice, But if you know what it is right now, why would you? I don't know. And I and it's one thing for you to have a stillborn. Say she did have a stillborn. For you to put it in a trash bag, like it's trash, and put it in your closet, you don't think that's like crazy? To put the baby in a trash bag in the closet? I don't see how anyone could think that that's okay. Yes, that should, I mean, people are going to judge. I'm not that person to say, oh, well, there's plenty of people that can't have kids and want kids. And I'm not that person, okay? Because that's like when your parents tell you, um, you need to eat your food because there's kids in Africa starving. That don't have nothing to do with you. Okay. And I'm not saying that someone else's situation isn't important, but that's not relevant to you, right? You don't make decisions based off of other people. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. And I might be wrong about how I feel. This is just my 2 cents. You ever feel like your mom is a little too involved? Like she's stalking your text, your boyfriend, and your whole life? Well, flip that feeling on its head and times it by 100. Welcome to Unknown Number, the high school catfish. Because, baby, this is where a stalker was literally your mom. Let's unpack this because it's a nightmare with tea. Now, there's this girl named Lauren LaCar. She's 13 years old and she lives in Beale City, Michigan. And her boyfriend, Owen, lives in the same area and also goes to the same school. They were tormented by an anonymous texter for nearly 2 years, up to 50 to 80 messages a day. They were vile, graphic, and even suicidal messages. Everybody in the school got blamed friends, classmates, even the teachers. The rumor mill was a national park of shade. Then the FBI dives in using digital forensics, IP tracking apps, and things were subpoenaed. They traced the harassing number back to Lauren's mom, Kendra. Kendra admits to it eventually, but not without a twisted root of alleged trauma. She claims she wanted to protect her daughter, but then twisted into control. It's literally a classic textbook case of cyber Munchausen by proxy. Well, or in layman's terms, mom went full on psycho fairy godmother because, baby, it was wild as hell to watch. I was gasping and my mouth was like the entire time, okay? Meanwhile, the school is a hot mess express. Principals, parents, friends, all getting dragged into the sausage factory of suspicion. Students losing friends, becoming enemies. Lauren herself is getting treated like a suspect. It's a juvenile justice Hunger Game where nobody wins. I'm telling you, this is the most diabolical documentary I have seen this year or probably in my lifetime. And then the cops show up to Lauren's house with a search warrant and body cam footage. Baby, they snatched up Kendra's devices, seized her text stash, and then delivered the blow. Your mom was the stalker. Lauren's cue meltdown and her dad's meltdown too. Baby, he kicks Kendra out of the spot, okay? Right then. Now her mother is just out the house and he's like, get her out, losing it. Like he looked like he was about to spaz out if Kendra didn't get out that house. Now, I believe it was like a year later, Kendra gets arrested. She takes a plea deal and she pleads to guilty to stalking minors in March of 2023. She gets sentenced to 19 months to 5 years in prison. She gets released on parole August of 2024 and is forbidden to have any contact with Lauren until 2026. Meanwhile, Lauren is flipping great. She's studying criminology, getting closer to her dad and healing. She's one badass, okay? And she does still want to see her mom or speak to her mom, but I feel like that's what happens when you have a narcissistic parent. So that doesn't really like shock me, but I think over time she will lose that feeling as the time comes up. So y'all, just imagine you're raising your teenager and it turns into your worst nightmare that the mother of your child, your wife, is wrecking trust. Y'all, the texts were so weird, but listen, don't ever worry about your mom because she's definitely not like this, okay? But if you're suspicious, baby, Unknown Number isn't some twisted true crime. It's literally a stark reminder that sometimes the enemy is in your actual home. Stay sharp, stay protected, and keep your peace because maybe the block number is your mama. Not my mama, but Lauren LaCar. It was her mama. Y'all, I just finished watching Sorority Mom's Guide to Rush, and baby Bama Morgan was in this episode. It's called There Is No We in Rush, or something like that, but it's the 4th episode. And I feel like this episode really told us more in depth why Bama Morgan was so bothered, which was why I wasn't so quick to draw a judgment on her, because I felt like we didn't really know her story, and it was just basically what we saw, right? And it's crazy because this was supposed to be Bama Morgan's comeback, right? And so she was rushing again because in 2023 she was TikTok's favorite rush talker, right? And she took another shot at sorority recruitment and she flopped. But she admitted that the first year she didn't take it serious enough and she didn't want it bad enough and she wasn't like really fully committed. And I think as time went on, she realized that she did really want it. And she did get invited back to a top house, but she was released right before bid day. And you could see it was emotional, it was raw, it was painful. But there's a deeper part to Bama Morgan. And it wasn't just battling Rush. She was battling years of not fitting in. She spoke about being relentlessly bullied all through school and always feeling like that person in the background. She never really had close friendships. And that's the kind of history that makes rejection hit very different. It's not just about a no from a house. It feels like every cafeteria table is never saving you a seat. And that made me understand what she was going through a whole lot more. And I see why it was so important to her the second go round. She did still show up twice, right? That's resilience. And when people called her a PR risk, even when she was criticized for being too outspoken online, she kept putting herself out there. And that's not weakness, that's strength. Our own Brandis Bradley was an emotional coach. She is known as the TikTok Rush Queen, okay? The queen of Rush Talk, in fact. And Brandis was the voice of compassion and reminded Morgan that everyone watching Rush, you know, it's emotional for her, but people aren't really seeing all of that. And rejection is part of, you know, life, and that doesn't define who you are. And she emphasized for her to really search deep within herself. Rush isn't just a week. It's a part of life at Bama. And a lot of girls really want to be in sororities. And of course, there was Bill. He came in with the tough love drill. And he's basically the sergeant of Rush and pageants. His advice was forget about them. If they drop you, don't spiral. Don't call them back. Move forward. And he even called out moms who were trying to be helicopter moms in the process, reminding them that their daughters can stand on their own. Together, Brandis Bradley and Bill Iverson were like the yin to the yang of Rush Talk. And empathy and heart, they were so sweet. And in the middle of it all, Morgan was showing us sometimes courage isn't about getting a bid, it's about getting back up after you didn't get it. So when we talk about Bama Morgan, don't just call her the girl who didn't get into a house. Call her the girl who refused to disappear. The girl who turned bullying, loneliness, and rejection into a platform. She might not have Greek letters on her chest, but she does have resilience tattooed all over her story. And I think that's respectable. Hold on to your horses because the real Grand Dam is free. Yes, Karen Huger just walked out of prison earlier today after her DUI conviction from the Real Housewives of Potomac. But it will never be the same on the Real Housewives of Potomac, okay? She was sentenced to 2 years to serve 6 months, and she just got out on good behavior. And yes, allegedly, sis was running the prison like a Real Housewives of Potomac stage reunion, okay? So fellow inmates even called her running the roost. I can't make this up, okay? Now here's the tea. She still has 5 years on probation. Yes. She's banned from all driving for a year, and she has to blow into a breathalyzer before she could even start the car. Now imagine Karen yelling in a moment while trying to get the engine to turn over. Baby, what? But the real question is, what does this mean for the Real Housewives of Potomac? Season 10 is about to be messier than ever because the Grand Dam just got her peach, and I mean her freedom back, and Bravo better have the cameras ready, okay? One thing's for sure. Karen Huger might have lost her license, but she didn't lose her storyline, child. And Potomac just got spicier again. I want to show you guys my favorite highlighter. This is a gel-based highlighter, and no matter what skin tone, look at this. Do you see that? Let me show you something. This is the one highlighter that no matter how matte your makeup is, it's not going to look ashy. It's not going to look cakey. It's just going to be smooth because it's not powder. It's gel-based. Look at that. This is by Estee Lauder. I'm going to link it down below because I feel like this is the one gem that is so underrated. First of all, Estee Lauder as a brand, I feel like is underrated. A lot of people, especially like people under 30, don't realize how amazing Estee Lauder is for them. But this is the best highlighter ever. Like, look at that. Look at this. You could even use it on your body. You see that glow? This is one of my favorite highlighters. I will never put this highlighter down. And this is Heat Wave. But it's good on every tone. Let me show it to you guys on my hand too. It gives that I woke up like this look. Look at it. Okay. When I first saw this on my timeline, I had no idea it was Druski. My first thought was, I smell the rope. I better head out before dark. When I found out that this was Druski, I laughed so hard. It's the sunburn for me, though. Like, and anyone that thinks that whiteface is racist, I think they don't really understand the history of blackface and why it was created. And I feel like that they need to do their research so they can really understand where blackface came from. Because there's a lot of history behind that. White actors used to paint themselves in blackface, so they didn't have to hire black people to do the job of a black person. And it was just mocking oppression, basically. And so it's not the same thing. This is just pure comedy. And I wish people would really understand that and not be committed to misunderstanding because it sounds good or it makes you feel included. Like, we all have our own things, and I just feel like this is not the same. And that's part of the reason why history is so important. Baby, Lauren is better than me, because had this have been my mama, baby, I've been a crash out, okay? Like, I'm talking about when I was younger, I was unhinged. I would have knocked everything off of that table when the officer told me that my mama was the one doing all this mess. Imagine you show your mama your outfits in the morning, you showing your mama like all of the little cute stuff you wearing, and your mama the one who telling you that you look terrible, your boyfriend would never want you. Baby, when I tell you I would have crashed cold out on her, ma'am, you sent me all those messages while you out here looking like Quasimodo? I would have been so upset. So upset. You said you had a job and your job was terrorizing me? And also, what I think nobody's really talking about is the fact that she's a pedophile. Like, what she was doing was literally preying on minors. And it was actually inappropriate. Like, she should be a registered sex offender. And I don't mean that in a flippant way. And I'm not saying that in a lighthearted way. She literally should be registered. The stuff she was texting was inappropriate. And the way the police department handled it is wild. Because the fact that she is not registered tells you how sexist things really are. This lady preyed on minors. And I believe she truly wanted her daughter's boyfriend. The passport bro that went to Africa to find a woman that wouldn't require much is so funny to me. One of the things I love about being a makeup artist is doing weddings. And I was booked for a Kenyan bride price and a Kenyan wedding. And I learned so much there. It was crazy. But this story is going to get a little unhinged and funny at the same time, but there's so much to learn in it. When I get there, they say that there's 2 brides. So I'm thinking in my mind, there's 1 husband and 2 brides, but I'm going to mind my business because I mind my business on another level. If you know me, I don't ask you questions about your business because unless you want me to know, I'm not going to ask you. So I do both brides' makeup. Now, the whole time I'm doing their makeup, I'm wondering, are they like sister wives? Because they're saying they're sisters, and I'm trying to figure out, is this a sister wife situation or what? But at the same time, again, I'm not asking any questions. I'm just trying to pick up on the context clues. I ended up doing their aunt's makeup and a couple of their cousins and stuff like that too. And so at the end of me doing their makeup, the aunt asked me if I want to stay for the bride price. And so I'm like, yeah. But the reason why I said yes is because I was so nosy to understand which man was the lucky man to marry these 2 brides. Even though I knew that it was illegal here in the U.S., I just was like, I'm gonna mind my business, but I'm just curious to know who this dude is. Mind you, we're in this stupid big house, okay? Like, I mean, dumb big, way out in the country. All the family arrives, they're, cooking, and this is an event, honey, okay? I mean, they was putting on. All the uncles came, aunties and them, like, cousins, everybody. I mean, there was a lot of people here, okay? Everybody was so happy to see each other. Everybody was so welcoming and friendly, and kind and nice. It was like such a vibe. It felt very family oriented, and I love that. I don't know if this is traditionally how it goes down, but the bride comes out with a bunch of other women, and they're basically supposed to identify the wife, okay? Now, the men in the family negotiate on how much the husband is going to pay for the wife. This price is not to buy her as in she's property. This price is to basically give back the family a lot of the investment or some of the investment that they invested into the daughter, or the wife rather. The prettier she is, the more educated she is, the whatever, you're paying for that, right? Because they invested into that. Her education, they invested into that. And all of those things comes into the bride price, right? I thought that was the most interesting thing. And again, at first, I was like, oh my gosh, they're buying you your property? This is insane. Who could ever do this? But then when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Men hold value to anything that they've paid for, right? Or it costs them something. It's not in the fact that he paid money for you, it's the investment he made into his wife, right? And if he invests into his wife, he's less likely to treat her bad, right? While y'all over here arguing about coffee dates, these women are negotiating how much it is to marry them. Okay. My point is, it's a stark cultural difference, which is why African men have been known to be providers. And when you compare that to American culture, it is very different, very different. Specifically because they invest, right? American men dating, they don't hold it serious, which is why they date so many women at one time. Because at the end of the day, they don't invest anything. And so they don't hold it of any value. If you will hold yourself valuable, they will stop trying to treat you. But any day you accept less than you want, you are going to get even less than that. So, Passport Bro, you better do your research. Them African babies ain't ones to play with. They know their value. Their parents have instilled that in them. You went to the wrong place, honey. And let me tell you, Africa has money. A lot of people don't realize how much money is in Africa. Him going to Kenya to find a wife that wouldn't require much financially is like going to Louis Vuitton to get a wallet for $100. It's not going to happen. It was 2 sisters and 2 husbands. The sisters were marrying 2 different men from 2 different families. The reason why they did the bride price together is because all the family was traveling from outside of the country, from Africa into the US. So they figured they would do it at one time. Imagine my surprise halfway through this to see a second husband and to realize they weren't sister wives. I was like, oh, thank God. But obviously I didn't want to say it to them because I didn't want them to be like, damn, this girl's unhinged. She could have asked questions, but she didn't ask any questions and she tried to figure this out the whole time. My friend was the one who connected me to this bride, these 2 brides, to book me for their wedding, or their bride price and the wedding. And so I ended up telling my friend after, she busted out laughing. She's also African, so it was very, very funny for me to explain what I was thinking in my mind. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys about this.